Welcome to the first show of the January transfer window for Good Morning Transfers. Before the break, we introduced our new feature, Who Needs What? Now, we're going in alphabetical order, so we begin with Arsenal. Mikel Arteta will have discussed the January window with the Arsenal hierarchy in his interview for the job. The club will have to think about the next season during this January window. Will they have Champions League football? Maybe the Europa League, or no European football at all? Arsenal will lose out on £50 to £60 million of Champions League cash and might well miss out on the competition for the third season in a row. So will FFP restraints mean that Arsenal are restricted in this window? The club committed over £100 million in fees over the summer. There is lots of talk about strengthening the defence given injuries and form. Now, we're hearing this morning that Arsenal are interested in the Bayern Munich defender Jérôme Boateng. We're going to talk more about him in a moment, but there's also injuries to Callum Chambers and Kieran Tierney, plus the long-term fitness of Hector Bellerin is uncertain. Remember, they do have William Saliba to come in the summer. Granit Xhaka looked like he was on the way out. Now he's staying. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's future is also coming under scrutiny. Then there is the age-old question of Mesut Ozil. He started Arsenal's last 3 games, and it seems, though, he is a part of Mikel Arteta's plans. So much going on at Arsenal.
There is. With a new manager as well, it's hard to know exactly what he wants, but then that understanding there from Sky in Germany, JD, is that they do want to strengthen their defence with Jérôme Boateng, and everyone's always said Arsenal need more experience and more leadership at the back. Does he bring all that?
He brings that in abundance. You're talking about a player that has won everything possible as a player, from international level and club level as well. I mean, a couple of years ago, most people would have put Jérôme Boateng in the conversation for being one of the best defenders in the world. Not saying that he's over the hill. Now, at 31, you still create that question mark, and can he adapt to the ferocity of the Premier League? But still, it's that respect that he'll bring. It's reputation that he'll bring. And he'll command leadership from the rest of his peers, which Arsenal have lacked since probably Sol Campbell days, if we're being honest.
Well, we've got some defensive stats that we can bring you as well, by the way, that don't make good reading for Arsenal fans, which is why potentially Mikel Arteta wants to improve. Because in terms of goals conceded, remember that this is a club that strives to be in the top 4, possibly even better. Goals conceded is 10th in the Premier League, clean sheets 12th in the Premier League, shots faced 4th. Now, 4th is normally good, but for shots faced, that's bad. All right, that's the 4th worst in the Premier League, and they've conceded 5 penalties this season as well. So JD there was talking about Jérôme Boateng, but Dave also, Alice, mentioned William Saliba, how they signed him in the summer. We talked about him a lot, and he'll be back next summer. We don't know. We are looking into the fact whether they can recall him or not, or whether they want to recall him. But what could he bring right now, Alice?
Well, it would make sense that Mikel Arteta would want to recall him. Originally, I think the idea about him going back to St Etienne on loan was that he would build up those minutes. He has, though, suffered from injuries himself. He damaged his metatarsal recently, so he's had about 2 months out as well. So he's only made a few appearances this season, but when he has played, he's looked really good. Still 18 years old, considered as one of the best centre-backs in the country, really. However, Callum Chambers' injury is a massive blow for Arsenal. 9 months out. It's the worst start to the new year for him, isn't it? So you can understand them thinking once Saliba's back to fitness, he will fill that void. David Luiz hadn't really set the world alight when he first joined. However, having said that, he's actually looked quite good the past couple of games, it's fair to say. But I think Saliba will bring that competition, and yeah, when is there going to be a better time to have him on board than now?
I just think you think about the experience, some of those names David Luiz, if you bring in Jérôme Boateng as well, those young defenders, Rob Holding is thought of very highly at Arsenal, Callum Chambers is another one that's thought highly of, William Saliba as well. They're going to need experience to lean on. They're going to need experience to people that they can turn around and talk to, that they're going to be able to master their craft, especially in that centre-half position, because it's probably the position that takes the longest and the longest to mature into it. So bringing in those sort of players and having those sort of experienced players, which Arsenal always haven't had around, it's going to be nothing but beneficial to those next crop of players coming through.
I think it shows how things can change in football. I think we sat around this table in the summer window and said what a brilliant transfer window Arsenal had in the summer. They got in the players that they needed to. They needed a fast-pacey winger in Nicolas Pepe. They needed a centre-half in David Luiz. They needed covering full-back with Kieran Tierney. Obviously, his injuries haven't worked out, but it just shows what can change in 6 months. And now Arsenal need to go again in the transfer window if they're to have any chance of getting into the European place.